Tonight, the U.S. Dream Academy is hosting its 24th Power of a Dream celebration. The signature gala celebrates hope, mentorship, education, and transforming youth and families nationwide. And joining us this afternoon is one of the honorees, and you may recognize this award-winning actress from the Netflix hit series The Residents. She's also a best-selling author. Welcome, D.C. native Edwina Findley. Great to see you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's so wonderful to be with you today.
So what does the Dream Academy mean to you? And what's the
Oh
message
my,
that you hope to share with students and families tonight?
absolutely. Well, I've been on a big book tour for my new book, The World is Waiting for You. And in the middle of an interview with none other than the Oprah Winfrey, she began to talk to me about Pastor Wintley Phipps and how he spoke a dream, a word from God over her life that has now come to pass. And that's so much of what the book is. And I said, oh my goodness, Wintley Phipps was my pastor when I was 8 years old, right here in Washington, D.C. When he got wind of that, he said, oh, you have to come and join us for our Dream Academy celebration. And I couldn't be more thrilled because I feel like what's happening tonight is that manifestation of a God dream that each of us has been born with this calling, right, to impact the world in a positive way. And that's what we're doing and celebrating tonight.
Yeah, and you mentioned your book, so let's get into it. You wrote a book that talks a lot about embracing your calling and also manifesting. Tell me about the work, though, that goes into the in-between space. So after you've created your vision board, what do you do daily that sets you up for success? Because you don't just sit back after you created that vision board.
You do not. There's a whole chapter in the book called The Waiting Season, and it's really about being intentional in that in between. Right now, we all know that we are living in a culture where it's hard. A lot of people are being laid off of their job. We have a government shutdown. There's so much happening. But how can you continue to operate in your purpose, even in the midst of life obstacles? So we talk a lot about that. And then chapters 9 and 10 are all about planning and making those bold faith moves and looking forward to this time next year. What are you looking forward to? What are you planning for by faith and believing that on your vision board, this vision that you have can actually manifest in real life? What can you do and what can you put in the hands of our Creator? So that balance between the spiritual and the practical is exactly what this book is all about. And that's what I'm excited about celebrating tonight as well. The fact that we all have a dream and how is our dream impacting other people in order to change our world. And that's a lot about what the U.S. Dream Academy is all about.
And you mentioned the shifting landscape with job loss in our area. That is something that a lot of people could lean into at a time like this of a lot of uncertainty. In your book, you also talked about your grandmother and her work in the White House. How do you think that helped shape you?
Yes. Well, me growing up in Washington, right here in DC, I went to Duke Ellington School of the Arts. So it's definitely a full circle manifestation that this event would be held at Duke Ellington tonight. But I grew up watching my grandmother going back and forth to the White House, and I would just be right there in front of the building, taking the bus and the train. But it was like this dream, right, that I saw right there in our home. I saw pictures with my grandparents with the presidents and all these artifacts from the White House. And it let me know that there is a bigger dream that's attainable. And I think that even as a young person, when we see people walking in greatness, even if it's our own family, it inspires us to do the same.
And I think it's inspiring for people to know that you grew up around the Howard University area. So seeing someone from their neighborhood rise to this level of success is just remarkable and an inspiration for many. I have to ask you before we wrap here, since you are from this area, where are some of the places you like to pop in before you head out of town?
Oh, absolutely. Well, a couple of places that I do like to pop in. I grew up in Greater Mount Calvary Holy Church. I also just recently was in DC speaking at First Baptist Church of Glen Arden. So I love to pop into a great church service while I'm here. And I am a DC girl, so I have to get that mumbo sauce fix. Every time I tiptoe to DC, so I find a nice little carry out, a little spot just to give myself a shot before I go back to Los
Yeah,
Angeles.
you can't get that
And
in
then
LA.
lastly, I'm always at Duke Ellington. I really have always felt like it was important to just pour back into the next generation of artists. So that's a big part of what I do when I come.
And you were telling me you hope to stop there tomorrow, so those students are very lucky to be able to come within arm's reach of such a local legend. Thank you
Uh,
so much for joining us today, and congratulations on the honor.
oh, I so appreciate it. The world is waiting for you.
Great message.